I had major, major surgeries that they weren't sure I would even survive the surgeries. I was facing the rest of my life dealing with these medical complications. And I no longer was going to accept this. Doctors told me that my mental illnesses were incurable, and obviously they weren't. So why am I going to believe them when they tell me that osteoporosis is not reversible, that you're always going to have thyroid issues, that you're always going to have interstitial cystitis and vulvodynia and pelvic pain? There's nothing that we can do. These are incurable. I was going to question everything and research everything, just like I did with my mental illnesses, and I was not going to accept this. I was going to figure out a way to reverse this and heal this by still using the lion diet, still using the carnivore diet, but understanding what else my body needed to reverse all of these conditions. And I set out on a path, and I did those also. I'm no longer plagued with osteoporosis. My thyroid and all of my hormones are fine. I've not had a single fracture in 7 years. I have no more issues with prolapsed organs. I have nothing going on medically at all. Everything has healed. And it's just now an amazing life. And I'm just so thankful.
Wow. Well, that's amazing.
Well, that's amazing.
And thank you so much for sharing that. Is a question I've had before, or always sort of thought about, but I do see people that go through anorexia, and for some reason a lot of them go in a vegetarian, plant-based, or vegan sort of approach. Was there a particular reason you were avoiding meat? Was it because it was particularly fattening, or was there a specific reason why you were avoiding meat yourself?
It wasn't for ideology. I told others as a teen and in my 20s that I was vegetarian or vegan just to avoid questions. That was a way for me to explain how I was eating and to try to cover up that I was self-starving. When I was an early teen, in the 70s, it was very easy during that time to go off of meat and fat. I was surrounded by propaganda and TV shows and commercials that everything went fat-free. Everything went non-animal based. And everything that I was learning, even in school, when we would have health class or nutrition class, it was all bent towards being plant-based. That the best things you could eat were oatmeal and Cheerios and pasta and noodles and rice. And so that messaging, combined with my own self-destruction of knowing through the self-starvation and the anorexia that the highest calories were involved in protein and fat, it was a firestorm that combined, and that's what I pushed out first. And I'm not unique in that. The experiences that I've had inpatient, surrounded by other young men and women for decades, in them also, that was the first thing that they eliminated, to take it down to fruits and vegetables and maybe sometimes something like a potato or a grain, but it was always focused on high volume, low calorie, and that was always going to be spinach and lettuce and celery, green beans, things of that nature. And it causes so much malnutrition. It's just devastating to your body and the brain.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I've always sort of wondered that that's, when you're saying, okay, especially, some people in adolescence, they want to fit in, they want to be slim, they want to be in shape, they want to be attractive, when they're going to school and things like that. And if we're told fat makes you fat, meat makes you fat, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, I'm not going to eat that." And
Right.
I've seen that before anyway. And so that's interesting to me that that's what you went through too, that, oh, okay, well, that's going to have fat on it, want to avoid that. And then you just eat this very, very poor nutrient, um, sort of, I guess you could call it food, but I don't, grass clippings,
Right.
lawn waste, and eat that instead because it doesn't have nutrition, because it doesn't have calories, because it's not food. And
Right.
but it's, well, you're eating something, and so I guess that counts. But um, yeah, that's very, very scary, that thought, and that vilification of meat and just normal nutrition, scaring people away into something that is so harmful, like an eating disorder as dangerous as anorexia. Like you said, when we were talking before we came on, anorexia has the highest mortality rate of any mental health disorder. Like it is extremely devastating, very difficult to recover from, and many people don't, and that's probably because they're never brought into a proper way of eating. If you
Right.
talk to, I'm sure you experienced this, but the the counselors that I've spoken to now, it's all about, any food is good, all food is fine, just eat as much as you want. So you're giving them one eating, just you're treating one eating disorder for another, and you're playing into this problem they have. They don't want to gain fat, they don't want to be overweight, and you're telling them just eat anything, eat cupcakes and cookies and this is and that, and then they're putting on fat and they're like, don't like that, don't want that, and they don't feel good either. And so just going to go right back into doing what they were doing before, which is not eating any of that so that they can at least be skinny and not feel good, instead of putting on fat and not feeling good and not helping their mental health anyway.
Yes. Yeah, like you said, it's the highest mortality rate. 1 in 5. It's 20%. 1 in 5
Wow.
die. And those that survive, like me, up until my healing, we just survive. We just every day wake up and obsess over food, obsess over what we look like, obsess over whether we have enough bones sticking out, obsess over every part of our life because our brain is not functioning properly at all. There's no way to stop the OCD. There's no way to stop and halt the intrusive thoughts that we're feeling because your brain is is stuck. Your brain is literally stuck in a starvation malnutrition mode